And with me now on the Behind the Mic Sports Media Podcast, we've got a good one this weekend. It is Alex Hayden from the Motor Racing Network, anchor in the booth for MRN with Mike Bagley each and every week, fresh off of Iowa. Alex, great to have you with us. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, no, thanks for having me, Matthew. I really appreciate it. It's going to be a fun one.
First thing I want to ask you, I am a normal listener to Sirius XM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90. Got it emblazoned in the brain. Um, what in the wide world of sports happened with everyone's travel this past weekend in Iowa? And did you get home at a reasonable time?
First of all, personally and selfishly, I had zero problems getting home. So it was spectacular for me. But I fly Delta Airlines. I have for 30 years that I've been doing this, if not longer. So um, the people who had all the trouble this weekend with their travels flew American Airlines. And that's not a disrespect or a shot at American. It's just the way the weekend fell. But going to Iowa, Mike Bagley got stuck in Dallas because of an air traffic control problem in the Midwest, based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, which covers that whole region. So they shut down airspace all over that area and canceled flights everywhere. So that was the getting into Iowa. I actually got in Thursday around 2 o'clock. The outage for the air traffic control happened about 4 o'clock local time, which is central time there. And Mike wasn't due in until 7 p.m. So he was all in that. Leaving, I'm not sure exactly what the problem was. I'll start with Caitlin Vincey from Fox Sports, who was there to work the ARCA Menards race. She had not one but two flights canceled. She had to be back to get to her kids. And after the second one was canceled, she just rented a car and drove back to the Charlotte, North Carolina area from Iowa. It took her 16 hours to get back, but hey, you got to do what you got to do sometimes. I had to do that coming back from a NASCAR modified tour race in Buffalo a couple of years ago. But for Mike Bagley to get back, we were in the middle of the race. We were literally just at the start of stage two of Sunday's Cup Series race when he gets the phone notification that his flight had been canceled for Monday morning. So there was a sequence. If anybody listened that intently, you realize Mike wasn't with us for about, I'd say, 7 or 10 minutes. Just me and Todd Gordon, we just covered. I looked at him. We threw it to Kurt Becker to call a lap in the turns. I said, Mike, go. Get your flight deal taken care of. So he went out back behind the booth and got everything squared away. He got rebooked. Mike lives in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He got rebooked to go from Des Moines, Iowa to New York's LaGuardia Airport, and then to Palm Beach, Florida, which is about an hour from where he lives. And he was going to have to Uber from there, which not the best case scenario. So kind of one thing led to another. On the race ends, on the drive back to the hotel, which is about a 25-minute drive or so, he got back on the phone with American, started looking around. Well, he decided to fly from Kansas City to Fort Lauderdale, which I believe had a direct flight. I don't know that detail, but so we get back to the hotel after the Cup race Sunday, and we stop off and have a bite to eat. Me and Mike Bagley and Kurt Becker, our turn announcer. Kurt lives in Illinois, so he drove. It's about a 5 hour drive for Kurt. So we had lunch, or I should say dinner, and Mike packed everything up at the hotel, got in his rental car, changed his rental car drop off from Des Moines to Kansas City, did the 3 hour drive down to Kansas City, spent 2 hours in a hotel, got up and flew home. So, yes, that is just a small sample of things that happen not every week, but more times than not when you rely on air travel and hotels and rental cars and things like that. I had a taste of that leaving Chicagoland. I guess it was back in early July trying to get back. I had a flight get canceled too. So it's just part of the grind, as they say.
Yeah, so you guys do this, I mean, so many weeks out of the year. I mean, that's not normal, but trouble, as you said, with air travel is fairly normal for you guys. I wanted to ask you, on a weekend that's not as crazy at Iowa, maybe much easier this weekend with Richmond. You guys do the Cup races, you guys do O'Reilly and truck races. perhaps some people don't know you guys do a lot of ARCA and some modified races as well. So when you include the travel and you include prepping for a racing weekend and then doing the races, what does a normal week look like for you?
Yeah, we do. We do NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour events when they're with us on tour. And then we also do Arkham and Art Series races, and that could be East or West or the National Tour. So typically a week, and heck, I can use this one just to kind of break it all down for you. Got back from Iowa around lunchtime Monday. That gives me Monday afternoon and evening. Tuesday and Wednesday home. I go to Richmond tomorrow and Thursday. So normal. That's a normal week. You get home Monday, you go back out on Thursday. So Monday afternoon, I get back from the airport. I handle whatever chores need to be done around the house. In this case, this past week after Iowa, I did the lawn work, did some laundry, and did just kind of did general chores around the house on Monday. Get the expense reports done from the weekend while everything's fresh in your mind, and you can get all that turned in, and just put an exclamation point on the weekend that was. And then on Tuesday, I turned my attention towards the upcoming race weekend, in this case, Richmond Raceway, and start doing all my research and all my notes and coming up with little facts and figures and things that the average race fan might not know, and start putting together my notes for Richmond this week. So that's a typical Tuesday office wise. But I also have different teams or Zoom meetings that I have to be a part of. Every Tuesday, I have to be a part of the MRN sales call with the sales team in Daytona Beach. I'm not a salesman, but as one of the anchors, I'm part of the creative team. So when there's a business that we'll call it Matthew Owens Painting that wants to advertise, uh, they have me on these meetings for the creative side of it. Say, oh, how can we incorporate them? Do they want to buy just a commercial, which is great, or do they want something specific? Do they want to sponsor a leaderboard, or do they want to sponsor something else? So that's when they ask me and get my opinion on knowing how the broadcast format works to have some kind of a creative idea. So that's every Tuesday at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Throw in any other recordings that need to be done. This week I had a couple of recordings I had to do for a couple of other outlets inside the world of NASCAR racing. I had to help record a NASCAR live piece. So anything like that needs to be done. That's Tuesday. I try to shut things down by 4:30. My wife Alicia, she works from home as well, and so she wraps up about the same time. So I try to wrap up when she does, so we can feed the dogs and just kind of have the evening together. Wednesdays is kind of the same. I try to take Wednesdays off. Hard to do because there's always something. And with MRN, our production meetings are via the Teams or Zoom, and those are every Wednesday at 1:30 Eastern Time. So I've got that coming up. So it doesn't matter if I take the day off or not. I still have to do that at 1:30. Outside of that, Wednesdays I try to keep open for the most part. So and then off to the next race week on Thursday. In this case, in Richmond, I drive. So it's a super easy one, 2 hours, 15 minutes, maybe straight up I-95. So drive up. Our hotel starts on Thursday because we have to be at the track on Friday for this case Craftsman Truck Series racing. So yeah, it's a grind. It's a schedule that we try to keep, but there is nothing that is absolute black and white set in stone, other than the timings for a couple of specific team calls that we have to do. Outside of that, you're fluid. You have to be able to roll with the punches and try to take as much time when you can to yourself.
You mentioned your notes and your prep work for the week. So I think if you're listening to this podcast, you're a sports media fan of some kind. So we know football, basketball, hockey, baseball. You've got these boards, you've got these books, you've got spotting boards, score books for baseball. What does it look like for you guys doing a race? And of course, on a weekend where it could be two races, it could be three, sometimes even four if ARCA's there as well. I'm assuming, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't assume, you probably don't have boards like at a football game, but you've probably got 30, 50, 80 sheets of just notes. Is that what it is? What's all that like?
Yeah, so much like stick and ball sports, there is no right way or wrong way. It's whatever works for the individual broadcaster. I do college basketball and college baseball and softball as well. I do some football. I just do sideline reporting for football. But everything else, yeah, I make my own charts. And I know you can get charts. And I've got a lot of friends that are college and NFL broadcasters and Major League Baseball for that matter. But and I see their charts and what they do, and I can implement some of their ideas, but it might not work for me. So I do my own on that. For racing, early in the season, and this is usually mid-January is when it really gets busy, when you have to start getting set for the new season because of all the driver changes or sponsor changes, crew member changes. I know all the crew members and what positions they work for all these race teams. It's usually pretty busy, and I'll have 15 to 20 pages of different notes for sure. But for a general race week, and especially this point in the year, because our cast of characters stays the same for the most part throughout a season, with the exception of a pit crew change here and there. Um, Realistically, I actually only have, and here's my Richmond stuff. I can tell you, one, two, three. I have 4 pages, and that's it. Uh, because a lot of this stuff you just know by repetition and being at it every week. But yeah, just 4 pages for Cup stuff, and that is for the Cup race, the Cookout 400, and it's for Cup practice and qualifying. And it's like anything, I over prepare because you just never know when you're going to have a place to drop a good fact or a good nugget of information in there. And with what we do, if we have a rain delay or a lightning delay, we don't go off the air, we stay on the air, and you got to keep going. So you got to have that extra material so you have something to go with. For the Truck Series race, I'll have maybe 3 pages of notes. But yeah, that's about it for the week. I do always have my laptop computer with me. I have it set up with a couple of different web pages on there, and we have a service called Racing Insights. Russell Weinrich and Jimmy Hicks, and there's a lot of these guys are. It's a business that they started and actually sold their company to NASCAR. And what they do is they sit inside the television booth every week, no matter what network is calling it a NASCAR race. They are in the TV broadcast booth, which is always next to our radio booth. And they feed nonstop nuggets of information to the TV broadcasters. Well, they feed the exact same stuff to us via an iPad in our broadcast booth that travels with us. And it's totally up to us whether we want to use that information or not. We'll use 20% of the stuff they put in there. They'll put 200 notes a race in this. It's only up to us. We just kind of read it as we're calling the race, and if it fits or if it's something that we weren't aware of, we'll absolutely use it. But they also have a web page that they have with just some very general, basic facts of historical notes for different racetracks, and I'll refer to that as well, and I'll keep that on my laptop. Have the Google pulled up as well, just in case something happens. I can type in real quick to get a quick answer on something that I may not have. So it's not nearly as much as what you might expect, believe it or not.
Now, you said you do some sidelines for college football and you do other stick and ball play-by-play. So I want to ask you, because you've been everywhere in your time on MRN, you've been pit road, turns, now in the booth, which I don't think I introduced you well. It's Goldsboro, North Carolina's Alex Hayden of the Motor Racing Network. I should have gotten that right. That's error on my part.
No, not at all.
Um, so tell me if I'm wrong. I might be way off base, but as someone that's listened to NASCAR on radio for my entire life, when you're on pit road, it's a reporting job. You're reporting what's happening. Like this past weekend, Denny Hamlin with a brake issue, Carson Hocevar with an alternator issue. You're reporting what's happening. In the turns, it feels to me like it's strictly play by play.
Hmm.
You are there to paint the picture of what's going on, whether that's Dave Moody, Kurt Becker. You mentioned Kurt Becker, by the way. I love Kurt Becker. He is
Yeah.
so good. Um, I,
He
I
is
can
probably the most talented broadcaster on our roster, Kurt Becker.
he's I can hear him calling a race, and I can just envision he's using the same tones and words that he does in horse racing. And
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. And then when you're in the booth, you're doing play by play as well, but you're kind of traffic cop, air traffic control. Are those the main differences from booth to pit road to turns? Is there anything that I've missed on that?
No, precisely. So we like to put it stick and ball vernacular, the booth, the anchor jobs, kind of like the quarterback of the football team or the point guard on the basketball team. It's our it's our responsibility to run the offense and to distribute the ball where it needs to go. So to kind of break that down a little more, for the booth, yes, we're responsible for lap by lap, play by play. We're also responsible for any corporate guest interviews that come in. We're responsible for getting in and out of the breaks, all the live commercial reads and things of that nature that have to take place. We pay attention to race control, which is always on the opposite side from where the TV booth is. They're always with us as well. Pay attention to race controls radio so we know exactly any kind of pit penalties or any kind of call or why there's a caution flag with no spin, if it's a piece of debris in turn three, things like that. So, yeah, we have to pay close attention and handle everything from the broadcast booth. And then the turn announcers, their prep work literally consists of boots on the ground. When you get to the racetrack, you go to the garage area and you look at paint schemes. Because in today's NASCAR world, paint schemes change every week, unlike back in the early days of NASCAR, all the way through the early 2000s when you had one sponsor the entire season. So paint schemes change, and it's the turn announcer, booth as well, because we're play by play, to go study these paint schemes. And if you're working a bigger track with us, if you're working the second position or what we call the B position, which would be the backstretch turns 3 and 4, more times than not, you're trying to study what the nose of the race car looks like because you're standing in turn 3. And when they drop it to you off turn 2, you're looking at the noses of the cars coming right at you. And that's what you have to work with. You don't have the luxury of a side view. So they study bumpers and grills, is the way we say it. You got to know your bumpers and grills to be able to identify cars. It's a challenge. It's a big challenge. For pit road, their notes are much similar to what we have in the booth. They go deep because it's your job to tell the story of what's going on in the race. You're also responsible for the pre-race interviews with the drivers and crew chiefs and the post-race coverage, including victory lane and the top 5 finishers. Um, so to me, the booth and the turn people call the race. They let you know what's going on the track. So the pit reporter's job is to tell you what's happening in the race, if that makes sense, to bring you that inside information from any given pit box or a car that's going on. They can tell you specifically, hey, Kyle Larson's complaining that when he gets into the corner, he feels the right front chattering. Things like that, because not only are they listening to our broadcast and what we call the Q channel, they also have to listen to each other because the pit reporters can talk to each other and our producer up in the booth on a separate channel. They also will scan their section of pit road, whether it's spotters, crew chief, driver communication. So a pit reporter, even though you have one headset on, you can put earbuds in and you can listen to up to 4 things at one time. And you have to be ready because we throw at each other blindly is what we call it. So there is no producer saying, hey, we're coming to you for this. You have to be listening and it's coming to you. And that's part of our game. The late great Barney Hall, our leader for decades and decades, always taught us at his knee that not only is MRN Radio talking, it's broadcasting, but maybe more importantly, it's listening because you have to be able to know what's going on and when your colleague's about to drop it, you never know who it's coming to. So that's just kind of how it works. So pit reporters have an awful lot and a big responsibility.
Yeah. It really is magical listening to you guys. Like I said, I've listened to NASCAR on radio for my entire life, and I've gone from Barney Hall and Joe Moore in the booth, always hearing Dave Moody, Mike Bagley,
Yeah,
Kurt Becker, Fred Armstrong. I mean, I just love listening to
yeah,
sports on radio, but
I
particularly
did too.
NASCAR.
I did too. I listened to MRN before I was MRN. I got my chance to audition and become a part of the network in 1997, and I was a fan well before that. Look, when I was a kid, I'm from Indiana originally, from Muncie, Indiana, and when you're a kid, keep in mind this is back in the mid and late 70s and early 80s. School nights or in the summer, you're supposed to be going to bed at 8 or 9 o'clock, your bedtime. But we had little transistor radios, my brother and I, and I'd put my little earpiece in and I'd tune my radio. Once the clock struck 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., you could pick up WLW, Cincinnati. And I would listen to Marty Brenneman and Joe Nuxall, the Cincinnati Reds radio network, and listen to them call Cincinnati Reds games and the Big Red Machine with Pete Rose and Danny Dreesen and Davey Concepcion, Ken Griffey, George Foster, Joe Morgan, Johnny Bench. That was my childhood, and that's what got me really enamored with sports and broadcasting sports on the radio, is listening to those guys call Cincinnati Reds baseball, and then on the weekends, of course, listening to MRN call NASCAR races. Little did I know I would ever be in this position to be similar to that, but I'm much the same as you. I started off by listening to this same stuff.
Yeah. It's really amazing to listen to. Now, I want to talk to you something that's been talked about a lot lately, are shortening these races and particularly getting the cautions and even more particularly the stage cautions tightened up. That that's NASCAR talk, but it's also sports media talk because we have grown over what, the last decade, close to it, with these stage cautions. It is truly like NASCAR's version of a TV timeout, a media timeout. And that has grown incredibly important to what TV and what you guys at radio do. So I know there's a lot of calls on social media, get rid of the stage cautions. It's not that easy, is it?
No, not at all. Um, we can get rid of the stage cautions. Sure, we can do that. We did it forever up until we had this. Problem is, we part of the reason we went to this is because fans were complaining that they were missing green flag laps. Fact of the matter is if we're going to broadcast something live to you, that's got to be paid for some way somehow. It's still a business. At the end of the day, it's a business. And the only way you're going to provide this business and this service, whether it's the television side or the radio side, it's got to be paid for. And that's through advertising. So we have to take commercial breaks. Could you imagine the uproar of NFL fans if they decided to take commercial breaks in the middle of a drive that they're doing? If the Indianapolis Colts had the ball 2nd and 7 from the Bronco 32-yard line, we're going to step away for 2.5 minutes for a break. They would lose their minds. But NASCAR's different because we didn't have these built-in breaks. Well, that's part of the reason we have it. NASCAR fans now complain about this. Not all of them, because there's some that like. And look, if you're a fan at the racetrack and you spend your hard-earned money to go to the track, these are very much welcome for fans at the racetrack because you know when you're going to have the opportunity to get up and run to the bathroom,
Hmm.
run up and as I like to say, get rid of a beer so you can go buy another one. Um, or go to the concession stand or whatever you want to do. Get up, stretch your legs. You can do that because you know these breaks are coming. The other thing about it is I understand shortening things up, and I get that. That's today's society. We're in a world of where everything is instant.
Yeah.
Newspapers are effectively gone. We don't have to wait till the next day to read what happened the previous day. It's instant on social media. It's instant on your cell phone. It's instant on a computer. However you want to get your information, it's instant. And that's how this society has become conditioned. We're all becoming conditioned for have everything instantly. So fans want things sped up just a bit. I don't disagree with that. I'm glad we've changed the policy with 10 laps to go. If there's a caution flag, that ends the stage immediately. We still put the caution out, but we don't drag it out
Hmm.
because we still have to have the opportunity for commercials to run without fans missing green flag action or missing a round of pit stops. So yeah, it has to take place. Look, I wouldn't be opposed, and this this is kind of a hot topic for a lot of people. I wouldn't be opposed to shortening some of our races. Um, I think where we're at as a society a 3 hour sports window is about the max. And because people just get tired of it. You have so many options now to entertain yourself. After a while, it's just you kind of start wandering and your attention wants to go to something different. So I think 3 hours is about the max. Baseball realizes that. Hence the implementation of the pitch clock. Minor league baseball, if they go to extra innings, they put a runner on second base and give an out there. I mean, they're trying to figure out ways to speed things up. The NFL changes things. They're changing the way they did their onside kick rules. They changed the way they do the kickoff now. They're just for different reasons, whether it's safety or speeding things up. The fact is all sports are trying to figure out how to make things more streamlined, and NASCAR is no different. Now, all that being said, some races need to stay the same. The
Yeah,
Coke 600 has its history. The Daytona 500, the Southern 500 at Darlington. Some of these races need to stay exactly what they are because of the tradition that comes with it. But that doesn't mean every race needs to be that way. We don't need to be racing at I'll just pick a track, Iowa or Bristol or Las Vegas. We don't need to be racing for 4 straight hours. That is a long time. And that's a long time to ask a fan to sit through it and listen, sit through it and watch it, or sit through it in a grandstand when it's either scorching hot outside or freezing cold outside. That's a big ask for our fans.
yeah, for sure. Now, okay, you're on social media a lot. You've been on SiriusXM, interacting with a lot of fans. So
Yeah.
I don't think you can say what I can say on this, but I'm gonna try to word it as best I can. I've been a NASCAR fan my entire life. Why are we, as a collective NASCAR fans these days, why are we so difficult to please? Because I get on social media, I listen to SiriusXM, and I don't think NASCAR's in a bad place. Now, some people genuinely might think, I don't think that. But goodness, it's so negative so much with the fans anymore. Why are we constantly spinning this wheel that it just feels like either a very loud minority or however you want to phrase it just isn't happy?
It is just that. Believe it or not, the people that seem grumpy and negative and make the most noise is a very small fraction of our fan base. Because if you go to the racetrack and talk to any fan, they love it. It's the greatest thing in the world. There's a lot of fans that watch it, that love it. Fans that listen to the race on the radio love it. So yeah, it's a small thing. I think the biggest thing is what you touched on. Social media. Social media, the internet, people have the ability to stay anonymous and they have the ability to not have to take accountability. So you can go on social media, create a completely anonymous handle, and absolute say whatever you want and rip whomever you want with no repercussions, with no consequence, because nobody knows who you are. You can hide behind things. If you have to go and stand in front of somebody at a racetrack at a fan stage and grab a microphone in the fan zone to talk to a driver or talk to me or talk to whomever, talk to the CEO of NASCAR, Steve O'Donnell, whoever you talk to, 99.9% of the time, you're not going to say the things you say behind a hidden handle.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest part of it is, and why there is that degree of negativity is, and it's not just in NASCAR, it's all sports. Heck, it's in general life. People say nasty things because they don't have any accountability because they're hiding behind things like a social media handles. I think that's the biggest issue with it all. NASCAR doesn't pay a whole lot of attention to certain things like that unless you have a name attached to it and a legitimate picture and a legitimate name that goes with it that can be researched and find out. And NASCAR will happily take the constructive criticism. I criticize NASCAR with some of the things that they do. Right off, I'll even walk right up to them and talk to them at the racetrack. Go into the NASCAR hauler in the garage and say, "What are you guys doing on this? Make this make sense for me." Most of the time they do that. They make it make sense. There are times, however, they're going to say, haven't really thought of it that way. Let us chew on that for a while. So, yeah, they take constructive criticism and they're open to that. And they're open to change. Hence the reason we're doing a lot of the things we're doing in our sport now, as opposed to just ruling with an iron fist and saying, here's what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. Those days are gone.
Yeah, for sure. Alex Hayden of the Motor Racing Network this weekend. I'm assuming you, Mike Bagley, Dave Moody.
Yep,
Uh,
Dave Moody will be in the turns. We've got Steve
yep.
Post and Chris Wilner in the pits this weekend. Our analyst, as always, is going to be championship winning crew chief Todd Gordon. Won his championship with Joey Logano in 2018, won the Daytona 500. Tons of races Todd's won with not only crew chiefing Joey Logano, but Ryan Blaney as well. He was one of Jimmy Johnson's last crew chiefs when Jimmy has since retired and has come back to run a handful of races. So Todd Gordon, one of the best in the business, and we're fortunate to have him as our expert analyst.
So this weekend, that's the crew for Richmond truck race on Friday night, Cup race on Saturday night. Is there a modified race?
We do not do it. No, no,
Okay.
not this week.
Okay. I didn't know if there was a modified race this weekend that you guys are doing. So, biggest storyline for you as we wrap this up. Three races left in the chase. Biggest storyline. What do we need to be paying attention to when we turn on our TVs or radios this weekend and watch Richmond Friday and Saturday night?
Who's going to be in the chase? Who are the 16 drivers? Austin Cindric is on the cut line. Had a terrible race at Iowa. But if you look at Richmond 1 year ago, the three-team Penske cars all finished inside the top five. So we expect Cindric to bounce back. Logano and Blaney, we know Blaney's already locked into the chase. Logano 68 points to the good. He's in a really good spot. Who's going to be in? Can somebody on the outside, like a Ryan Preece or a Ross Chastain, make a move to get in over these next couple of weeks? We got Richmond, New Hampshire, and Daytona, the final three of the regular season. There is opportunity there, but they're going to need somebody that's in, like a Cindric or a Shane Van Gisbergen, to stub their toe a couple of times and have some misfortune. So that's a big storyline. Who's going to be our regular season points leader when it's all said and done? Denny Hamlin's in a great spot. Tyler Reddick's got to stop the bleeding. He's been in a bad spot. And I think probably the biggest thing I'm going to pay attention to, not only this weekend at Richmond, but moving forward, is Kyle Larson and Hendrick Motorsports. Hendrick Motorsports is just in a rut right now. Their highest in the point standings is seventh, and that's Chase Elliott. He just fell to seventh because of a terrible race again at Iowa Speedway. Chase Elliott has now gone 9 straight races without a top 10 finish, and that hasn't happened in his career before. Kyle Larson right now has finished 4 consecutive races 33rd or worse, and 5 consecutive races for Kyle Larson finishing off the lead lap.
Wow.
This is a team in Hendrick Motorsports. Alex Bowman's had his struggles. William Byron's just been announced basically at the starting lineup in a full field rundown. Hendrick Motorsports right now has become an also run team. And if you're a fan of NASCAR and a fan of Hendrick Motorsports, you understand that's just not acceptable for that race team. So I think the biggest thing to pay attention to is Hendrick Motorsports going to get out of the funk that they're in. Are they going to have a resurgence here to wrap up the regular season and still put themselves in a position to try to win a championship?
Yeah, and of course, winning in is no longer here and is no longer a part of the vernacular of NASCAR. But Austin Dillon is going for 3 straight at Richmond. I mean, who would have
Yeah.
thought that? And he ran well at Iowa last week. You can draw a dotted line from Iowa to Richmond. So can the three pull a three-peat at Richmond? uh, is quite the underlying story. Obviously, he's not a part of the chase picture, but I listen. You could probably make some money going somewhere because I'm sure Austin's probably not the favorite, but could do it again.
He would be one of my top 5 favorites. Austin Dillon has a great knack of being able to save a right rear tire. And Richmond Raceway, the surface is so worn out, you just chews up the Goodyear tires. And he does a nice job of saving the right rear, not overheating it. Yeah, I would put Austin Dillon in the 5 that has a legit chance to come back and win. Look, there's only been 3 drivers in the history of NASCAR to win 3 Richmond races in a row. And those 3 drivers are all the greatest that's done it and all in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. The King, Richard Petty's one of those drivers. The Silver Fox, David Pearson's another. And the last to do it, going back to 1982 and 83, is Bobby Allison, part of the Alabama gang. So This is something for Austin Dillon to try to accomplish that hasn't been done since 1982 and 1983. So I think he's got a really good shot at doing just that, though.
Yeah. It'll be fun to watch and listen to all weekend long. Alex, thank you so much. I could do this for the next 2 hours, but you're a busy person.
No,
So,
no. Hey, it's fun to talk racing, and it's fun to be a part of your show and just talk. It really is. You do a great job, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to at least have me on.
absolutely. And always want to shine the light on NASCAR and then radio. It's two great passions. Thank you again for being on, and we'll see you around and we'll be listening this weekend.
Thank you, Matthew.
Absolutely. That's Alex Hayden from the Motor Racing Network.